The heartbeat of any firehouse across the city of New York is the kitchen table. It's where we break bread, break balls, and break everything in between. They say all the world's problems can be solved at a firehouse kitchen table. I don't know how true that is, but what I do know, it's what I miss the most. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the kitchen table. You guys know me. If you've been following the podcast, I'm Kenny D. Career first responder, got some military time, but I combined those for about 29, 30 years or so. You guys know what the message is. Thank you guys for liking the channel, following the channel, getting the message, sharing it, subscribing, the whole 9 yards. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to the kitchen table, if this is your first episode, welcome. Where you been? You got 16 episodes to catch up on. This is a channel, this is a podcast dedicated to spreading mental health awareness in, but not exclusive to, the first responder community. We've all had these issues. We've all dealt with depression, sadness, thoughts of suicide, anxiety, fear, the whole 9 yards, post-traumatic stress, all that stuff. Welcome to the kitchen table. Been saving a seat for you. Everybody's welcome at my kitchen table. So thanks for showing up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Follow it on Amazon, Spotify, fucking Apple, whatever. Whatever streaming service you got, follow it, but share it. That's the most important thing. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever the fuck Twitter is called these days. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys. The sun is out. It's Friday. It's going to be a beautiful day today. Right before the shitty weather comes in tomorrow up here in the New York area. We're supposed to get heavy rains, floods. It's going to suck. We're supposed to go down and celebrate my in-laws' anniversary, 54 years. God bless you guys. Happy anniversary to my in-laws. We'll be down tomorrow going out to dinner. Hopefully the rain isn't too bad, but it's supposed to be pretty shitty. Anyway, the other day we had final parent-teacher conferences in the high school for my son. He's a senior. We're going to be shipping him out to college in the fall, and we had our final parent-teacher conferences. I wasn't going to go. Didn't think we needed to go. It's the last one, but my wife, she's very sentimental. She's like, we have to go. It's his last one. We got to go. I was like, all right, whatever. So we went, got great reports as we always do. He's a great kid. I'm so proud of him. We're going to be sending him down to college in the fall. He's picked his college. We already put the deposit down, so he's going, preparing for all that stuff. But we're walking around the school, and we had 2 kids go through that school, 8 years in that school, and we still get fucking lost. Every time I walk around that school, I got the map, we got the list of teachers, I'm getting lost. It doesn't matter. And I'm running into other parents. They're lost. We never know where we're going. Room 229 is here, and then we got to go all the way down to room 169. It never fails. It's so stupid. I'm such an idiot. I'm still walking around that school. 8 years we've been walking around that school, and I still freaking get lost. Is it the new gym? Is it the old gym? Why are there 2 gyms? And then find out there's a pool. The school has a pool? Are you fucking kidding me? Where's the fucking pool? But whatever, I don't know, but walking around that school for the last time, seeing his teachers, very sentimental. The new chapter, closing that chapter, we're starting a new one. He watched him grow into becoming a man, and he made me real proud a couple of months ago, and he decided that he was going to take the New York City Fire Department test to possibly keep his options open, following his dad's footsteps, following his grandfather's footsteps. Maybe he'll become a fireman. But he's going to take the test. Anybody who's a resident of New York State, New York City, the FDNY test comes out. to apply for the test comes out in June 2024. So check it out. But that made me real proud that he would want to be a New York City fireman. It's not an easy job. None of these jobs, no first responder job is an easy job. You have to deal with a lot of shit. And as I've talked about on all the channels, on all the episodes before, I'm trying not to say too much or filler words. I've really been practicing that. So if you hear me say one or two filler words, don't sue me. What do you want from me? Anyway, if he takes the test, he'll be almost 18 when he takes the test. You got to be 17 and a half, but you can't get hired until you're 21. So the timeline will be great. He'll be getting out of college, 21 years old or so, and maybe he'll get the call for the fire department and have a nice, long, great career, great pension, great camaraderie, the brotherhood, fighting fires, doing the right thing, helping people, helping the community. So good luck to him. It would be an honor for him to follow in my footsteps. Anyway, as we're walking around the high school, trying to find where we're going, class to class, we have to go to guidance. Our final conference was with his guidance teacher. And in the guidance office, I found this packet. It's quick facts for post-traumatic stress. And on the cover, it looks like a New York City fireman, but I can't be too sure. And it looks like he's from 42 Engine. So I'm going to show you guys that. Maybe if he's watching, he'll know who he is. But for the podcast, it looks like a New York City fireman, and he's holding a baby. Baby's crying, but he's from 42 Engine. And I know he's from 42 Engine if he's on the New York City Fire Department because his front piece is black with white numbers. Anyway, I figured I'd pick up this booklet and just read a little bit about it. It's about quick facts for post-traumatic stress. And I'm going to put my glasses down so I can read it. This fact booklet is intended to enhance understanding of school personnel about mental health issues that may be encountered in students. I don't usually talk about kids with mental health issues, but it's an issue. It's a problem. The information included is not exhaustive and should never be used to formulate a diagnosis. You can't diagnose somebody with mental health issues if you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. Mental health diagnosis should be made only by a trained mental health professional after a thorough evaluation. And that's the truth. I sit here and preach mental health awareness. I sit here and talk about all my experiences with depression and thoughts of suicide and anxiety and fear and stuff like that. I talk about how everybody else probably has it or had it or went through some sort of traumatic experience, but I'm not a professional. I can't diagnose something like that. That has to be done by a professional doctor, psychiatrist, something like that. So that's something I wanted to say real quick is I'm not a trained mental health professional. I'm just somebody who's had experiences with them, and I'm trying to share my experiences to hopefully get somebody to raise their hand and share theirs and help them out if they're on the edge. Maybe get them off the edge a little bit. That's all this is. I'm not a trained professional. But anyway, I was perusing through this booklet, and it's got some really good information because it really deals with children and post-traumatic stress. So I want to read this real quick. Trauma is an experience that threatens an individual's life and or sense of safety. While some children and adolescents experience one traumatic event, others experience repeated and or ongoing trauma. It's called complex trauma. So you could have one experience as a kid, and that one experience, that one traumatic experience can follow you your entire life. And it can affect you every which way. Sleep, anxiety, depression affect your work into adulthood. All these adults come out, I've seen lately, not lately, but over the years, how that they are finally coming out that they were abused as a child, sexually molested, physically abused, mentally abused, and it's still affecting them when they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s. So this is something, even just one traumatic event can affect a child their entire life. Now, the complex trauma, something that happens repeatedly, like a child who's constantly sexually abused or physically abused, is even worse. Just like a first responder who deals with trauma almost on every run that they go on. It's all the time. You're constantly going on these runs and you never have time to get over the last run that was traumatic to you when you're going on another run that's traumatic as well. You don't know who to talk to, what to do, what to say. It's one after the other, after the other. That's complex trauma is what they're saying this is. Complex trauma is complicated by its frequent occurrence within the very systems that should be a source of safety and stability to our children, such as home, school, and or the community. Some common sources of trauma for children and adolescents include physical and or sexual abuse, is what I just said, neglect, abandonment, witnessing domestic and or community violence. Man, they're witnessing community violence on social media all the time. Every time you go on one of these sites, you're seeing all this community trauma, gunshots, fights, robberies, violence. It's so easy, it's so accessible for children to see this stuff now. It's way more accessible than when we were kids, and I'm 50. Natural disasters, life-threatening illnesses or injuries, and related medical procedures or severe illnesses or death of a caregiver or loved one. So this booklet is really dealing with children and trauma, which is something that I haven't really talked about. I usually talk about first responders and adults, but you can't forget that children go through a lot of trauma too. That affects them the rest of their lives. Their entire lives that they'll never forget. I went through a traumatic experience when I was in my early 20s, and it has affected me my entire life. I've never forgotten about it, but I found ways as an adult to deal with it. But it took way too long to come up with a program to deal with that. Children can't come up with these programs. They need loved ones and caregivers that will take care of them, that will help them. A lot of kids don't have this. So this is something to be said. So this is a pretty good booklet. What else? Common signs and symptoms of post-trauma anxiety. Preoccupation with the traumatic event. It's something that just recurs in memories and dreams, nightmares about the trauma. Intense distress. It may include fear, despair, anxiety, helplessness. Impaired emotional self-regulation. May include difficulty with affect identification, affect modulation, and affect expression. Impaired executive functioning may include poor concentration, attention, and short or long-term memory, as well as difficulty with organizational skills or processing information. Behavioral problems, aggression, impulsivity, hyperactivity, self-destructive behaviors, social problems or attachment issues. Poor self-concept may include low self-esteem and lack of confidence. So there's a lot of stuff. Somatic complaints may include fatigue, muscle tension, frequent complaints of headaches. Now you're getting into like the physical part of it. So kids really are, things affect them more than you know. I mean, they're resilient, but this stuff they could suppress things, and then in the future it really comes out as adults. And that's pretty sad. So we got to take care of our children, people. Really have to take care of our children. Because it affects them so much and into the future, and it'll affect them as an adult. So that's this booklet that I got from the high school while at our son's final parent-teacher conferences I'm going to say that's a New York City fireman on the front. I don't know who he is, from 42 Engine, holding a baby. Probably never forgot that run, whoever he is, when you're holding a child like that. And if you listen to my last episode, you'll know what I went through, or what I did on that run holding that child. So there's that. I want to get into real quick, my mindset today was a little shitty, a little angry because I didn't sleep well. Sleep has such an effect on my daily process and my mindset and my mental health. It's unbelievable. Since I retired, I've had a pretty good sleep pattern. I've gotten to bed pretty much the same time. I've gotten up pretty much the same time. I get up a little earlier than I used to, but I don't want to get up any fucking earlier than I already do. I mean, there are guys that I follow on Instagram and YouTube who these guys get up at like 2:30, 2:45, 3 o'clock in the morning. And that works for them. That's fine and dandy. They're doing great, and that's their process. I want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I think 5 o'clock is a good time to get up. It's an hour and a half before I used to get up at like 6:30 when I had a regular night's sleep, but 5 o'clock in the morning is when I want to wake up in the morning. Lately, I've been falling asleep okay. I go to bed around the same time. Fall asleep 9:30, 10 o'clock. If I get a good night's sleep, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, do my process, Lately, I've been waking up at like 3:30, 3:45 and just wide awake. Miserable. Fucking miserable. I don't want to get up any earlier than 5. It's ridiculous. That's psychotic. Those guys are crazy. That's just too early for me. I don't need to get up at 3:30 in the morning to have a good process in the morning and get my disciplines and all that stuff. I don't need to get up any earlier than that. But for some reason, I have been. I've been waking up 3:30, 3:45 and wide awake. So I just get up and now I get so tired and it puts me in a negative mindset. I start getting angry. I mean, I have my coffee, I do my reading, I do my self-reflection, I do the stuff on email and check, things for the kitchen table podcast and all that stuff. I get to the gym, but I've had such a negative mindset yesterday morning, and I've talked about instant karma in my life. Instant fucking karma when I'm in a negative mindset has happened to me so many times. So I get up this morning early, have my coffee, go through my process, but I'm angry. I'm angry because I'm up so early and I'm tired. My wife gets up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to the gym. I'm leaving early for the gym. Don't usually go there this early, but it was nice to get there early. But I was angry. I'm like, I got to work out the demons. I got to work out. That's what they call exercise the demons, right? An exorcism. So I was going to the gym to exercise my demons, but I was angry. I was in a negative mindset. So I get to the gym, and to prove to you how instant karma works in my life, I get to the gym and I hit my key card on the gym and it won't fucking let me in. Now it's like 5:45 in the morning. There's a couple people on the treadmills. They can't see me. And I hit the keypad again and it doesn't go. And it won't let me in. So the door's locked. Now I'm standing there like an idiot. I guess my subscription, my membership was up for the year and I had to renew it. And it doesn't warn you. I never got an email. It just all of a sudden stops working. So now I'm standing there like a fucking idiot for 10 minutes, hoping and praying that the next early bird will come in and let me in. Instant karma. Now I'm stuck there. It's cold. Not that I mind the cold, but I felt like a jackass. I'm in a negative mindset, and this is what happens. It just snowballs with me. I can't get into the fucking gym. And all I want to do is get in the gym and start doing push-ups and stuff. And I can't get in. Now I got to wait. And now there's signs everywhere. No piggybacking. Don't let the next person in. They got to have the key card. So now the next guy comes in, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm just trying to get in, and he didn't want to let me in. He didn't want me to piggyback him because he didn't want to get in trouble, and I don't blame the guy. But I'm like, come on, dude, man. I'm going to go talk to the manager. I'm sure he's in the back. Let me in. The poor guy, I was almost yelling at him. I was like, come on, man, let me in. Finally, I piggyback off him. I get him in, and I see the manager, and he's like, yeah, man, we'll take care of it. No worries. I'm like, okay, cool. So I get my workout in. I'm doing it. I pay for my new membership. Things are looking up. The sun's coming out. Da-da-da-da-da. Now I look out the window, and I see my taillights are on. I've been in the gym like an hour and 15 minutes, and I left my fucking lights on in my car. This is a new car. The lights are supposed to shut off. So now I'm hitting the button. From the gym. The lights won't go off. I go on my phone to do the app. That shit won't work. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I left the lights on on my car for an hour and a half. Thank God the battery wasn't dead when I went out there because it's really cold this morning in March here in New York. They wouldn't let me in the gym because my membership was up. So it's the universe telling me, it's a higher power telling me to get out of the negative mindset. To get out of that fucking poor me bullshit because you're a little tired. You didn't sleep too well last night. It's nonsense. But that's how things affect me. I don't know how things affect you. If there's instant karma for you, if you're angry. So many times in my life, I've been angry over nonsense. I shouldn't be getting angry because I didn't sleep that well. Yes, I'm tired, but it happens. I'm sure I'll get a good night's sleep tonight. That shit happens, but I shouldn't have been in a negative mindset. And things like that, thank God there are only minor things like that by not letting me in the gym and leaving my lights on in my car. But that's when things start going wrong. And I could let that snowball and have just a shitty day. But I didn't. I got my workout in. I got here, had breakfast, hung out with my wife, got my son off to school. Things are looking better. I figured I'd get on here while I'm motivated, while I want to tell a story, or while I'm in this mode to show you guys that I'm just a fucking human, and I have faults and I have imperfections, and we all do. And we all have to deal with stuff. But it shows you and it shows me how if I can keep a positive mindset, things go right. Yesterday I was in a positive mindset. And yesterday I did some stuff on Instagram. I'm still learning about this Instagram and the podcast and stuff like that. And I got even more positive feedback from everybody. I got a few more subscribers and people telling me this, and my wife shared it, and it was a really good day. So I was in a positive mindset. I got positive feedback. The universe treated me positively. This morning, opposite. Just this morning. I'm already getting in a positive mindset because seeing the sun out and talking to you guys in my therapy session. You guys are my therapists. I lay it all out on the line for you guys. So that's that. Positive mindset versus negative mindset. I don't know how that works for you guys, but that's how it works for me. A quick fire story I want to get into because I'm starting to get in a good mood is a story that's a little embarrassing. I don't mind being embarrassed and talking about myself and laughing about myself. I don't want this podcast to be totally about depression and mental health and sadness and anxiety. Yes, it's part of bringing that to light and helping people. But I also want to make people laugh a little bit. I also want to tell some stories, how I can laugh at myself, how I screwed up, or some good fire stories or some good police stories or whatever, and make you guys laugh or intrigue you guys about some of the experiences that I've had. So this is one of these stories. If you've followed the show, if you followed the channel, you know that I transferred to a new firehouse in 59 Engine, spent 17 years in that company before I retired. But the first year or two that I got there was pretty rough for me. Worse than what a normal probie would get into a firehouse. But anyway, watch the episodes in the past to check it out, catch up, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm only in 59 Engine a couple of weeks, 2, maybe 3 weeks. And I got to prove myself. Nobody's talking to me. Nobody knows me. The guys just are, not having it. They don't want me there. I'm just digging in and going to do the best that I can. So in the fire department, New York City Fire Department, we have house watches. There's a house watch in the front of the firehouse that has the computer, the bells, the loudspeaker that we call a bitch box. You got to answer the door. You got the phones. You have to answer the phones. You always have to have a fireman sitting in the house watch 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer the phones and do all that stuff. One of our assignments up there is to turn out the companies for runs, fires, medical calls, gas leaks, whatever the case may be. There's a computer system that will pop up the run from the dispatchers. How it works is somebody will call 911. The dispatchers will divert that call to whether it's for police, fire, or EMS. And when those dispatchers, there's 3 different dispatchers, they'll get the run and then type it into a computer, the address, what the run is, what the intersection is, whatever, what the incident is, and send it to us on a computer. I don't know how it's all done. I'm very computer illiterate, as you guys are probably figuring out. But it's all done through 911 and a computer, and they get sent to us. And when it pops up on our computer, we get the tones go off. And the tones sound, we call them beep-boops or tones. They sound like this. Beep-boop. And they're really fucking loud. And that's another thing. When those things go off, your heart just jumps out of your chest half the time. You're like, holy shit. Anyway, the tones go off and a computer screen pops up with all the information on it. You have to read that computer screen, ring the bells, and turn out the companies properly. I'm not going to get into soup to nuts of how it's done, but that's what you got to do. There's bells that you have to ring, a certain amount of bells for what kind of run it is. You have to turn out the companies on the bitch box, the loudspeaker so everybody can hear it. You have to open the doors. You got a lot to do as a house watchman. And then you got to get dressed and be on the rig and not have anybody waiting for you. So it's a lot to do. There's every 3 hours the watch changes, except for midnight. Midnight, we call it the 12-by watch. You have the 3-by, the 6-by, the 9-by, 12-by. The 12-by, usually in the firehouse, the 12-by guy is the junior guy, and he spends the whole night on the watch from 12 o'clock to usually in the morning sometime. In the morning, you get a bunch of guys coming in, so it's a little looser as far as being in the house watch and stuff like that. But the 12-by is one guy, midnight to, say, 9 a.m., 12-by. I came from a pretty slow company. I had the 12-by quite a few times in my company, but we didn't run a lot after midnight. It was just one of those neighborhoods that we didn't. And when we did, the runs were relatively straightforward. And I would turn out the companies and read the ticket off the computer. When I got to 59 engine, we were running all the time on runs that I've never had before, on incidents that I've never had before. So I was learning. I was like a brand new fireman again, even though I was off probation. I was right back into probie mode and learning almost like a whole different job. All new stuff. My eyes were open to everything. It was wild. So me being new, I'm taking the 12-by. I got to step up, take the 12-by, and I did that a lot in my first few years at 59 engine. So I have the 12-by. I'm not really sleeping because I'm nervous about getting on the rig and getting on the runs and doing the right thing and learning the job. So I don't know, it must have been 2 o'clock in the morning. The tones go off. That means we got to run. Beep-doop. So I get up and I run to the computer. And the lights are off and I can't really see. I can't focus. And a ticket pops up just for the engine. And it says ERS. That's the Emergency Response System. And what that means is somebody pulled one of the boxes. You know the red boxes on the call boxes on the corner? If you grew up in New York City, you know what I'm talking about. It's a red box on every other corner back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s where somebody would push the button or pull the lever and you'd get in touch with the dispatcher and tell them, oh, there's a fire or there's somebody, a car accident on this corner on 135th Street and 5th Avenue, whatever the case may be, somewhere in the city. They've since kind of phased a lot of those out. I don't think there's too many of them left in the city because everybody's got a cell phone now. So everybody who calls 911 usually calls from a cell phone. Anyway, there's these boxes, and it's called ERS. So somebody could just hit the button, and we would get that call. No incident, nothing. Just the engine's got to go on an ERS box. A lot of times those boxes were false alarms. But at that time, I'd never even heard of a fucking ERS box. Nobody hit ERS boxes in the part of Brooklyn that I was in. I was in a really decent neighborhood that they didn't get a lot of runs and certainly not a lot of ERS runs. So this thing pops up, ERS, and I'm reading it and I go, EMS. That's how EMS is a medical run. ERS and EMS, two completely different fucking runs. But I couldn't see so well. I was trying to read it. I said engine only, EMS, and I gave the intersection. I believe the intersection was 5th Avenue and I want to say it was 126th Street or 127th Street maybe. Because I think it was a west block, so I think it was 127. So as I'm reading this ticket again and turning out the companies, another run comes up over the computer. And it's for a fire. And it's got all the companies in the battalion going and the truck. So now I got to turn out the engine for what I thought was an EMS run. And now I'm turning out the truck for a fire. And I'm ringing the bells and guys are running down and I'm reading the ticket. I couldn't go back because I didn't know how to check the engine EMS run. So everybody, the truck thinks they're going to a fire. The engine thinks they're going to an EMS run. And boy, was I wrong. The engine gets on the rig. We pull out first. We go to that intersection. And, we went kind of slow, but we get there. And we sit on the corner and we don't see an ambulance or anybody in distress. But there's 3 people on the corner and they're pointing up the block. And we look up the block and there's fire blowing out the fucking windows on the first floor of this brownstone. I mean, fucking blowing out the fucking windows. And as we do that, we go, holy shit, now we just start fucking getting dressed. And the truck zooms by us and turns up the street and takes the front of the building. We get all dressed. Fucking guys are yelling at me. They're like, ERS, EMS, you stupid fucking idiot. And I was so embarrassed. So the engine pulls up. To get the hydrant, we stretch along. We start getting into the building. The truck's cutting the front of the building. It turned out to be a vacant brownstone. And fire is blowing out the basement of the brownstone. Right? And as they're cutting the door, I think it was like cement and fucking screens or some shit. As the trucky guy is cutting the door, the fire is just licking him in the head. He said he was like, I thought it was snowflakes. It was wintertime. I got there in late February. I think it was March. It was either late February or early March because it was cold and there was ice on the ground. But now, we get in the first floor finally. There's fire everywhere, putting fire out, fire in the ceilings. I had to back up, and the nozzle man halfway through the fire, he was like, all right, let's see what you can do. Gave me the nozzle. I fucking was putting some fire out. And then they were like, Kenny, fire behind you. There's fire behind you and above you. So I turned the line around and hit the fire behind me, and I fucking knocked the helmet off of the truck lieutenant. These guys were so pissed off at me for fucking up the run, first of all. ERS, EMS, to this day, and till the day I die, there are guys who will not let me forget that fucking run. ERS, EMS, you fucking idiot, it was a fire. And then I had the hose and I had the nozzle and I turned to hit fire behind me and the lieutenant was standing right there and the line just knocked his fucking helmet off. He was so fucking pissed off at me. I wasn't making any friends after the way I came into that firehouse and after how I handled the turnout of the companies and how I handled that fire. The fire wound up going out. It was a vacant. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it was a mess. I was a mess. The guys fucking hated me because of that. I can't. It was my fault. 100%. I cannot blame anybody else. But as I was reading, I'll say this to the day I die, as I was reading the EMS, in quotes, ERS box for the engine, I was getting ready to read it again, and I know that I would have read it right. It's the truck box came in for the fire. That's how quickly it was. Somebody must have hit the ERS box on the corner and then called at the same time. And the dispatchers were turning out the companies at the same time. So my engine screen disappeared, and then I had to turn out the companies for a fire, which was a fucking disaster. Now I didn't catch much work in Brooklyn, so now I'm catching a lot of work here. And now I'm hitting bells. I'm nervous. I'm turning out companies. I'm popping doors. Guys are screaming at me that I'm fucking everything up. I get on the rig. We think it's an EMS run. There's no EMS there. There's fire blowing out the fucking windows. The truck takes the fucking front of the building. We go behind them, which isn't supposed to be the proper way, but shit happens sometimes. I understand. One day I'll go over proper FDNY rig placement out of fire. But anyway, that was a first couple of weeks in 59 engine. I completely was fucking up. I was so nervous turning out those companies. So nervous fucking getting it wrong. Then I get to the fire, and not that I fucked up, but they said fire behind me, so I turn the line behind me. I'm going. I'm putting fire out. The truck boss just happened to be standing there, and I knocked his helmet off with the stream. That's not fun. That is not fun. So if you're listening, I'm sorry if you even remember. He's a chief in the battalion now. He's a good dude, and I saw him recently, and he was like, "Oh, you got a podcast? You're trying to be an influencer now?" But I don't think he remembers when I did that because I was there so early. But he's a good guy. Anyway, that's my story. I fucked up. I completely destroyed that run. I completely destroyed his helmet. No, I didn't destroy his helmet. I just knocked it off. That's all that happened. But it goes to show you how much I had to learn at 59 engine and how much I had to make my bones and how nervous I was and how you have to be focused and turn out the companies properly and read the tickets properly. I learned I never made that mistake again. That's for sure. one of the bosses thought I did one day. And he was like, oh, ERS, EMS, because he was the boss, and he's a great guy. I was like, fuck you. I was like, I go, you heard it wrong this time. And we were arguing about it. And he knew that he was wrong. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But I never made that mistake again. But that was a big mistake. Big mistake. From an EMS run to a fire. Thank God it was the same corner, because, oh man, if you miss a fire in your first due area because of something stupid like that and somebody else catches your fire, oh man, they would have never forgiven me for that one little incident. So it worked out. Thank God it worked out. I learned a huge lesson. We still got in first due. It was hectic. The guys were pissed, but we still got in first due. We still put the fire out, and had a good time. I learned a lot, and I caught fire. A 59 engine. So that's my story for today. It's Friday. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I will see you guys. Don't forget, new episodes come out every Sunday. Sunday. So if you haven't, subscribe to the channel, like the channel, follow the channel, share it. Share it is most important. Check out the links that I have for friendsoffirefighters.com, livelikeChrisFoundation.com, and Tomahawk Charitable Solutions. They're all nonprofits looking to help people. Check them all out. I really appreciate it. Remember, it must be true if you heard it at the kitchen table, and I will see you at the big one.